Hello everybody, it's Miss McGuire again. Today we're going to do some ice cream cones and we're going to stack them on top of each other. We're going to draw them, stack them on top of each other, and we're going to talk about color today. So this is more geared towards K1, K2, kindergarten 1, first grade, and second grade. So even though everybody could do this, all right? So we are going to talk about primary and secondary colors, and we're going to draw an ice cream cone in order to learn these, okay? So as always, you can use a pencil and then trace later, but I'm going to use a marker and trace, or just color, or I'm sorry, or just draw now with the marker, okay? We're going to start with the cone. We're going to have our paper vertical up and down, and we're going to start with the cone, which is in a cone shape. So we're going to start right here in the middle, and we're going to draw a line straight down, and then we're going to do another straight down. Now, Miss McGuire may have made this a little too tall, and I might have too hard of a time trying to get 6 scoops of ice cream on top of this. So if I do, remember this when you do yours, maybe make this a little smaller, okay? So that way you can make your scoops a little larger, because I'm going to have to make mine smaller. Mine's going to be mostly cone. All right, so you know how the cone is wrapped around and you always have like a little break in the cone? We can do that with a line that's diagonal and kind of waved from one corner to the side of the cone. And then what we are going to do is we're going to start at the top, and we are going to make that ice cream cone kind of lap over the top of this, so there's no reason to put a line there, okay? So we are going to start with the wavy part at the top here and just come out off of the cone just a tiny bit. I'm going to wrap it around and come in just a little bit like this, and then you're going to make that cone, that ice cream scoop look just like that one. Now, once you have that on, I'm going to go back down here to the cone, and we're going to make the waffle shape, okay? And so this right here and this right here probably are not going to line up real good together, because if it was a real cone, it would be wrapped around each other and the pattern would have been broken by this line. So I'm going to do this one section different than this one down here, okay? So I'm going to make vertical lines up here at the top first. Okay, and then I'm just going to come across there, and I'm going to make them horizontally across. So this one's going to be pretty much straight at the top here, and then I'm going to do the one below the line just a tiny bit different to create that waffle pattern. Okay, and then I'm going to turn my paper so that it's easier to do, and I'm going to start making diagonal lines in this one, because like I said, they wouldn't match up because the cone is being wrapped, okay? And so I'm going to do diagonal lines in this one, and then I am going to stick with that diagonal line pattern, and I'm just going to continue to cover it to go in sideways and make that waffle pattern, okay? So I'm going to keep going until I finish it. And I'm pretty much trying to do the exact same width in between my lines so that it looks realistic. Okay, so now I'm going to pick this up, turn it back around, and lay it in front of me. And now I have my waffle pattern at the bottom. I have 1 scoop of ice cream. I need 5 more. All right, so what you're going to do is you can draw this the exact same way, but you have to remember that these are going to be overlapping each other or behind one another, okay? So the next one that I do, I'm going to come in here like this and curl up, and then I'm just going to add that scoop right there at the top, okay? The next one that I do, I may make it a little smaller. I'm going to have to, because like I said, I've made my cone way too large. So you don't do that, all right? Maybe my cone might be having to slide, my ice cream might have to slide off here in a minute and go in the other direction. I may have to get creative with this because I've drawn it and I've drawn it with a marker, so I can't go back. So now I've got 4. I'm going to add that last one that I can fit at the top, which is not going to be very big. And I don't even know what to do here. I'm in a bad spot. I can't get that other one on here. So I may have to pretend. And see, this is the thing, what I always tell you guys, is that you can't mess art up. You just have to be creative, okay? So if you can see what I've done here, one of my scoops has fallen off the top. So it's going to be dripping down the side. We're just going to have one heck of a mess here. So I hope you all don't ever have an ice cream cone that does this, but it's happened to me before. So I have got five stacks of scoops of ice cream here, and one of my top scoops has fallen off because it's melted. And so to get the look that this has happened here, I'm gonna have to go back in and add some melting looks to this, because it wouldn't just melt on one side. You don't have to add a lot, and if you can get this ice cream cone to stack up on top of each other, that's the best thing to do. All right, so now that we're sitting there talking about that they were going to be primary and secondary colors, we're always going to start with our primary colors, okay? Because you cannot have any other color unless you have those three primary colors, okay? And normally on a color wheel, they always start with the color red. So we're going to start with the color red. Red is also the very first color in a rainbow. So we're going to make an R there for red, okay? And then we're going to move to the blue. And we're going to put a B here for blue. And then we're going to move to the yellow. And of course we're going to have a Y, which is kind of hard to see. Then we're going to move to the secondary colors, okay? So if I were to take red and blue, what would I get? If I had to mix, I have to mix two primaries to get a secondary. So red and blue together make violet or purple. But like I say in class all the time, most artists say violet. And then if I were to use blue and yellow together, because they are two primaries, I would get the secondary color green. And last but not least, if I put the red with the yellow, two primaries again, make the secondary color orange, okay? And I'm going to make that one be my one that's fallen off the top, okay? All right, so now that we've got them labeled and we've talked about them, we are going to go ahead and you're going to take your marker, you can do marker and crayon, and I probably will down here in the cone, just so that I can get some dark and lights, okay? So I'm going to come in here and periodically or every now and then I'm going to skip around and I'm going to make some really dark marks in my cone. Now brown can be mixed from these colors here, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. But if you black, white, and gray are neutral colors, you cannot get those from mixed and secondary and primary colors. They are called neutrals, and that's a totally different ball game. You really can't mix those colors. Well, actually you can mix gray from the black and the white, but you cannot mix a white and a black. They just are what they are, okay? So after you've come in here and you've made a few little dark spots in your cone, and it doesn't matter where you put them, and I'm not being too perfect about not getting out of my lines here, I'm going to be done with adding some darker spots, and I'm going to go in and grab a color of crayon, and this is a lighter brown, which just broke on me. They're really soft. So I'm going to come in here with, and this is called tan. I'm going to come in here and I am just going to do the same thing I did with my marker. I'm going to skip around and I'm going to add some lighter colors in here, and so that it gives it some dimension, makes it look a little bit more interesting. And I'm going to color it in. And so after I've done that, I'm just going to go ahead and grab another brown that I think looks kind of like something that I would see on an ice cream cone. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to skip around and color in some of the checks, the waffle look. And I'm going to do a little more back and forth here. You really can't mess this up, like I said. There's really no way to mess it up. So I've got that finished, and then after I do that, I'm going to grab the real brown, and I'm going to come in here and go ahead and color in the parts that I didn't color. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and lightly go over the entire cone. That way I can get my lines to kind of mesh together or look like they're all going in one way. Okay, and now we've got our cone, waffle cone done, and everything looks good and it's covered. And we got some depth in there and some dimension in there, and it's not all just one color. Now if you didn't want to go in there and do that, you could do all one color if you wanted to, or you could just use two colors. There's really no wrong way to do it. Okay, so now we're going to color our scoops the real colors of the I'm going to color them the real colors of the secondary and primary colors. And so when you look for your color crayons, you have to look for the word that actually goes with these colors. So you can't do a red violet down here, or that'll be kind of pink. So you have to have a real red. All right, so we're going to come in here and you're going to color it in with crayon, and that way if you color it with crayon, you can see that R that I made on there, and you kind of want to do that because you want to make sure that you remember that those are your primaries and your secondaries. Okay, all right, so I've got a red scoop of ice cream, and I'm going to skip around here and I'm just going to make some red drips here, just a few. All right, and then the next one I'm going to have to look for the real blue, and that might take me a second because there is a dozen blues in here. Oh, no, I got it the first time. So the real blue. I'm going to color that one in. Because like I said, the primary colors are your most important colors, and they are the ones that you mix to get everything else. Okay, and the next, of course, is the yellow, and you're going to look for the real yellow. And I did that the first time too, pulled that out of the crayon box. There's like 96 colors here, so I didn't think I would be that lucky to do that. Now when I look for the violet, Miss McGuire won't be that lucky. So I'm going to make some yellow drips here. I didn't make blue drips. I didn't do that. Now I'm probably going to need to come back and make this big long one right here red, because it's directly coming off of that cone, so I mean that scoop, so I would say I would need that. And I'll pick the blue back up and I'll do, actually, I don't think I need a blue. Violet. Now let's see if Miss McGuire can pick this one out of the box. Nope, I grabbed a plum instead. No. Okay, you're gonna have to give me just a few minutes. Let me see if I can't find that real violet. Real violet. I'm getting everything but that blue, violet, and plum, and everything else. Let's see here. This is challenging. 96 colors, and Miss McGuire can't find the purple or the violet. All right, here we go. Finally found it. All right, here we go. We're gonna go ahead and color this one in. And now we're working on our secondaries. This is the first of the secondary. This is violet. Violet's mixed from red and blue. All right. And then, of course, we've got to do green. And we're going to look for the real green. And we'll go ahead and make that drip green. Mix this all in here. This is a really colorful ice cream cone. And if you think about it, you could probably have ice cream that would be this colorful, because you could have the flavors that match the colors. Okay, all right, and so I've gone back and did my drips, and so now I'm on my very last one, which is the orange. And of course all of these drips right here have to be orange because they're directly coming off of that top part that's had a little accident and falling off the top of your cone here. So we're going to color all of this in, and now you have all of the primaries and the secondaries in an ice cream cone formation here. And now that Miss McGuire has done all this, you can either leave this background white or you can color it one solid color. That's up to you. I would not do rainbow color there, because if you did, you are going to probably have a hard time seeing your rainbow ice cream cones, okay, or your scoops here. So let me move this off to the side, and you guys, I'm going to teach you about this brown mixture really quick, okay? So I'm going to draw a triangle really fast, and this is a color wheel. I'm going to teach you how to mix brown, all right? We're going to still talk about primary and secondary colors here, okay? So as I told you, red will go at the top, and then you will have your yellow and your blue, because of course this is your primary colors, okay? Now, just as I told you before, with the ice cream cones, this is your secondaries, okay? And then we're going to make an upside down triangle here, and this one is on the color wheel, is always dotted, okay? So then you got to pay attention. Red and your yellow mixed together would give you an orange, okay? Your yellow and your blue mixed together would give you green. And your red and your blue mixed together will give you the violet or the purple, okay? Now, to talk about how we're going to mix brown, I got the brown marker, okay? Brown is mixed from your complementary colors, and complementary colors are the ones that are straight across from each other on the color wheel, okay? So, complementary means if you give somebody a compliment, you're saying something nice about them. So, the colors on your color wheel complement each other. Two of them look better together than most other ones. So red and green is the ones I always start with, because we think about those colors for Christmas time. People decorate with red and green. They look good together. They're complementary. So if you were to mix a red and a green together, you would get brown. Now you're going to get a different brown for every one of these different ways to mix, okay? Now, violet and yellow, how many teams do you know that would have those two colors because they look good together? They complement each other. They're complementary colors. So violet and yellow are complementary. I can think of the Lakers. They wear this on their uniforms because they look good together. They complement one another. So if you were to mix violet and yellow together, you would get a brown. Okay? It'd be a totally different shade of brown than the red and green was, okay? And then last but not least is the blue and the orange, and they look good together too. And there's also teams like the Denver Broncos that have the blue and the orange uniforms, and they use this because they complement one another. Now all three of these ways to make brown will give you three totally different colors of brown, kind of like what we used in our ice cream cone. Okay, so that would be a really good reason why we would use all these colors of brown, because probably it took all of these ways to make brown to create all of those colors in your ice cream cone. Okay, so next time that I come to you and do an art project, we'll finish this color wheel, because this color wheel goes on and on and on. Okay, the next thing that you do is you will add this one to this one, and they'll do like a spider web effect around here. Because you can just keep mixing colors. So I'm just going to give you a little taste of this really quick. Red, a primary red and a secondary orange will give you red orange. Now I know in the coloring crayon box you'll pick up a crayon and it'll have orange red in there. And that's just because they probably put more orange than red to make that crayon. But when you do a color wheel, you most of the time write your primary before your secondary, because your primary is like royalty. They come first, okay? So your orange and your yellow together will give you yellow orange, okay? And your yellow green and your blue green and your blue violet and your red violet, okay? And those colors are called your tertiary colors or intermediate colors. You could say either or. But anyway, we will talk more about this at a later time. Have fun doing your ice cream cone. You might be able to teach somebody something about primary and secondary colors and how to mix brown if you had paint, okay? You can't really mix them with markers and crayons. Paint is normally what I'm really talking about when I'm talking about mixing the two to get the other color, okay? All right, guys, have fun. Create something cool. Show me what you got. Send it to me by Dojo email. And I hope to see you guys soon. I know it won't be this year, but we will see each other again soon, and we will be in my art room, and everything is going to be okay. All right? Take care.